What's up, everybody? It's Eric from @MistralComet on X. Hey, got a quick kind of a video, kind of an interesting thing. I'm standing here in my front pasture. It's a very nice pasture. It's one of our favorite. We've got some Douglas fir trees kind of growing in. We only use it for chickens and turkeys and whatever livestock that happens to be. We haven't had any big livestock lately, but we're working on that. Maybe get some goats, maybe a cow or two. Anyway, one of the reasons I want to put together a video is because I'm running into an issue. The issue has to do with sort of the local push for fiber internet or cable being run in the rural areas. This is basically, my understanding is it's a result of a federal grant program that the local utility districts are getting involved in, taking that money and then installing rural fiber internet cable, which in most cases I think is absolutely awesome. But one of the issues I'm running into has to do with this private roadway that runs along basically the longest or one of the longer portions of my property. And what it is it's a conflict between public easements and private easements. And what this is it's basically a pathway for ingress and egress for some people that live further down the road. The road's like a mile long, it's private, but they have an access or an ingress and egress easement to pass over my land. Those neighbors also have a private easement for utilities to be connected, as is written in the legal description of the easement language. Now, there's some complexities here, is that this portion of road has and has never had any public utilities. Before the parcel, my parcel, was separated from a parcel to my immediate east, there were on that parcel public utilities that were on single poles with guy wires and all the accoutrements to go on with that. And there exists a public utility easement on that part of the property, their parcel, for those poles, and it legally describes the location of those poles as staked and located. Now, this was separated in like 1986 from that parcel, and again, it didn't have any public utilities. The only public utility is this leg right here behind me. You can see it, and that feeds my parcel only. The rest of the lower private road is actually fed from a totally different leg of power coming in from the east. It kind of crosses over through some large tracts of empty land that have been absorbed by a conservation district, or a conservation org, sorry. But there exists only this single line of poles that feeds my parcel, and that's what's owned by the public utility district that's involved. Now, what's happened, okay, is I signed up for the rural internet, and the languages basically said, hey, we're going to run it over existing infrastructure. And so I said, cool, we're just going to get internet run from the main line that runs on Center Road, which is right here. We're going to get internet that runs along the poles of my existing infrastructure to feed my residents. But come to find out, they actually intend on burying a line, along this route here. Now, I looked into the documentation, looked into sort of the title report and some of the other things, and the public utility easements don't list anything on my property. Now, it does list what was separated and has now since been abandoned on the other parcel that was separated on mine. But there exists only public language that basically says they have the right to pass over our land here. Now, there is a private easement, that says that the people on the other side of me can get utilities and things of that nature. There's some question as to whether or not that's valid because of how it was separated, and the utilities as staked and located per the legal description exist on the parcel, the daughter parcel of this one that was separated in 1980s. So what I'm facing with is the public utility is saying that they have, because of this private easement, okay, that the other residents of Tyson Lane benefit from, they can use that, okay, and here's the point, to run a line from this way to feed themselves, the PUD. They can use the line, my road, to feed the PUD so they can split it off and then serve other customers. So they're claiming that the private easements owned by people to my east, all right, can be used to serve people and themselves on the west. And that's, my understanding is that's a problem. The other thing that they're constrained by is they're saying, okay, and it's specific, okay, and language matters in these things when it comes to contracts and things like that. It says a single line of poles, okay? So like you see here, we have, you know, our single line of poles feeding this residence. It does not say that they are permitted to bury cable, and that's what they've done here. So what we're looking at is we're looking at a capturing of basically the land and a misuse of the easements in place. I'm sort of going through this currently, but they're maintaining that they can use a private easement meant to serve people to my east, that they can use that to run lines to run and serve people and themselves to our west, which I don't think is correct. In addition to that, their language on these easements is pretty specific, and it says a single line of poles. And by burying that, that is not a single line of poles. Now, this language is important, and maybe, okay, well, Eric, you're being a prick. Wrong. I'm being a steward, okay, of my land. Now, I'm not saying that we can't work something out to make this, you know, I've never said no, but it's important that we maintain the languages of these easements to retain our rights. Now, right now, they've got some guys working on the fiber connections. They're sort of spooled up at a lot of these poles on the other side of the main road there, and they're going to start hooking them up to the standard that they've installed on the corner of my property. The standard that's connected to a buried cable that we told them not to bury, but that's running here. So it's interesting. They've used this federal money to basically to a land capture. And haven't gone through the proper steps. So we're looking to find a remedy for that and to basically stop them, because I don't want buried lines coming in across that leg. I need to maintain this leg. But it's my understanding that they've also been using some of this federal money as a preemptive sort of strike to lay buried cable for power, because they want to abandon these sorry, I'm having a brain fart. These non-buried lines, they want to bury them and then reroute them. But it creates a serious issue for my property, because it's like a huge expense that I guess I'm going to have to incur if the PUD wants it. But it's an interesting way that these local PUDs may be mismanaging the funds used from the federal government. I'm a little concerned that they're overstepping some boundaries, and I think you should be too. So anytime you run into this stuff, we should always be asking as many questions as possible. Do you have the easements? And then look into the easement documents. Make sure that they are, you know, crossing their T's and dotting their I's and minding themselves and not overstepping the boundaries in place. And that if they need to use your property, that you're getting just compensation. Anyway, kind of a snippet of what it is that I'm going through. It's been a back and forth. Still trying to gather information. Thus far, it would appear that they're absolutely 100% in the wrong. It doesn't mean that there's not a remedy for them. It just means that the way they're doing it is incorrect. And we've got to make sure that they're doing it correct. Hope all is well. Hope you guys are having a great day. Check you later.